It's Deck Days at Lowe's, and the savings are stacked. Right now, pros get 15% off all in-stock composite decking from top brands like Trex, TimberTech, and Decorators. Plus, get a free DeWalt 20-volt max 5-amp-hour battery when you buy a select DeWalt tool. The deck's stacked in your favor with brands pros trust. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 4/22 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Breaking down the teams you're passionate about. This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, folks, let's get it. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Scott Gerard with you on a Tuesday. We got some friends on tap. We bring out the big guns on a Tuesday. Bill Armstrong, general manager of the Utah Mammoth, is going to join us straight up at 2 o'clock. We will also have a chance to catch up with Kurt Helin, NBC Sports and ProBasketballTalk.com at 1:05. And we're going to chat with our guy, Tim LaComb, here in just a moment as well. Get his thoughts as the Jazz wrapping up the regular season. They had locker room clean out yesterday. We'll still continue to touch base on a couple of those elements. That was certainly really fascinating to see some of the headlines and some of the storylines coming out of that. So, again, busy show. We'll get to it. Plus, we've got another Mammoth game coming up tonight, and then another one, and then the regular season is done, and we get ready for a little playoff hockey. Nothing better than a little playoff hockey. Playoffs back in Salt Lake City. All right, let's kick things off. Time for your starting lineup, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to kick off the show with the biggest headlines of the day. This is your starting lineup on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, starting lineup brought to you by Mountain Land Supply, where the pros go. Look, if water runs through it, you got it covered. Mountain Land Supply. Outside irrigation, inside plumbing, anything in between, they got you squared away. Go to mountainland.com and find a location near you. Joining us now, he is your co-host of your Jazz pre, half, and post-game shows with a little extra time on his hands, at least for now. He is Tim LaComb joining us now. Timmy, how are you?
I'm so good. How are you? And how is our leader Lloyd in the big office?
Lloyd is normal, joyful, happy self.
I find that hard to believe.
I would agree with you on that. That was sarcasm.
The sniper. I call him the sniper now.
Oh, I like that. When you were taking a class with him up at the University of Utah, was he a front row guy? Was he kind of a Spicoli, sit in the back and just try to order a pizza in the middle of class, like that kind of guy? Or what was Lloyd Cole, the student, like?
No, I'm going to tell you, I think I radared in early on Lloyd because I felt like he was a guy that could possibly take some of the load off the class for me because very attentive. I wouldn't say front row guy, but probably 3-4 rows back, toward the front. Had some quips back then that got me, and you don't see the dude crack a smile a whole lot.
No.
But you can get him every now and again.
Yeah.
But we had some fun up there, man, and it was a group class, a group project, so. My suspicion paid off. I did lean on him heavily in that class, which is why I think he holds a grudge.
I have a lot of gear from the 96-97 Utah State football team because let's just say I assisted with some papers and I was rewarded with gear. So
you just helped get the margin straight.
Yeah, that's all it was. Yeah. Yep.
Footnotes, all that gibberish.
Exactly. All right. Hey, so the Jazz cleaned out the locker rooms. The season's over, and now it's time to decompress. And you heard, and from a coaching standpoint, when the season comes to an end, you heard Will Hardy say, look, there's a couple things we need to do. And he prioritized decompressing, even for himself as a coach. How hard is it as a coach to shut things down after a season and just take a deep breath and like, okay, long year. Let's just settle down, calm down, get our nerves. Let's not say anything stupid on our way out. Let's just let it get behind us and then move on.
It is very difficult, and there's so many difficult aspects to it because, a college season is only 30, 35 games, 36 games if you're really good. These guys are playing 82 games, so with that, and you know the dynamics of this. You get on the bus with the same dudes every day. You say hi to the same people 5 times a day because you go from meeting to room to shoot around to breakfast, to the late meal, the pregame meal, and so it just becomes this routine of very, very, you kind of know what to expect and who to expect it from. And over time, there's some guys that get on your nerves and you're like, man, I need some time away. But as a coach, it's very difficult once you're done to give yourself the grace and the time to actually breathe, because your mind goes directly to, the next challenge and what's next. And so you have to fight that because you're only going to be as good as you have the strength to be. And I think there's also something great about getting away from it because you've looked at it straight for, I think about this. I go up there every single game and sit up in that booth and watch the game, and I'm just watching it, but they're prepping for it. They're taking all those steps, and then they're, after the game, you're handling all the media responsibilities, and then, you got a game in 2 days, so you're going to look at TV some more. And so getting out of that habit, getting out of that pattern is important. It's hard to do. It's hard to untether because I'm sure in Will's mind right now, he's drawing up sets for the 5 guys he's going to have out on the floor, and it's pretty exciting to him. So it's not all stuff that you want to get away from, but I do think it's healthy to get away.
So being around the team like you have been this year, and if you ever get to a game early, if they ever let you sneak into a game before the game starts, maybe before the general public gets in, go to the lower bowl, and you're going to look across, and you're going to see a guy sitting around the 10th, 12th row, incognito, maybe wearing a beanie, and just watching everything. That's usually Timmy. Doesn't bring a lot of attention to himself, but he's watching everything. So when you are around this team and you see the vibe, does it feel like there's a different vibe at the end of this year than there was last year?
Yeah, for sure. And I want to say, I think last year's team, they did their best, and those veterans were in a weird spot when you think about Clarkson and Collins, because they were on the back end and they were trying to go out and figure out how to be good and continue to grow and perhaps win. And this organization was just in a different phase. So there was some incongruence there that, everybody got along. But I think sometimes you get along on the surface, you know what I mean? And you don't dig that far in. I look at this year's team, and to me, it started with Keontae and his transition from, and I'm not even talking about a player, but just his growth and maturity. He had some immaturity to him his first year, and it was stuff that the staff talked about with him through the year and into the summer. And I think, of all the things that dude took to heart, that's probably the biggest, because he had that ability in there. I mean, all these skills were in there, but he almost had to submit to just let you guys coach me. I'm not going to look at you funny when you coach me. I'm not going to stand and quarrel with a teammate over a pass that he didn't catch, and all those little things that then he's not worried about that stuff. And so I think it was huge. So at the end of this year, I think what you have tons of growth on the floor. I think you have tons of growth in the locker room, and I'm talking about personnel with the trade. This team is really dynamic, and one of the things Will can do with it is go big. He can go small. He can go aggressive. He can go skilled. It's really, really exciting to think about what he can do. So I think bottom line is this team, last year's team did their best to get through it. This team went through it. Keontae had 10 guys come out with him or whatever the number was in the summertime and really bond. That stuff doesn't happen in the pros a lot. You'd think that's not that big a deal, but it just doesn't. In the pros, everybody goes their separate ways. And so to reach out, have people come, host them, and then spend the entire year. Like, he was an incredible teammate this year, and then it just becomes contagious. And you don't have to throw a slogan out there to say our locker room is this or our locker room is that. You can see that. They got technical the other night because they had so many guys celebrating on a dual triple-double like Conchar and Mbang. So to me, you said it. I watch everything, and you can't get a lot of phony crap past me. I'm kind of the phony police. And there was zero phony. I think that locker room's galvanized when and in this last 20, 30 games where people thought it was just throwaway after the trade, so many big things happened in that time. Like Kyle Filipowski really answered the bell, and he's a guy off the bench that's going to be a problem for teams, regardless of how many minutes he gets. But again, these guys all not playing. That were all not playing. They could have sat there and did their time, but they're up cheering and hugging and slapping and engaging and playing with the crowd. It just, there was a great feeling. So sorry for the long-winded answer, but I know you're Scotty and friends, and
no,
I'm one of the friends, so I'm going to take, I'm going to spare you of some of that time.
Hey, the floor is yours, my friend. Whatever you want, it's all good.
No, but I guess at the end of the day, I think you have growth in the locker room, you have growth in the culture. I think guys understand the game better. When you look at Cody Williams, he had no idea how to play in the NBA last year, and his body was no help to him. But man, you look, that guy set career highs in scoring and then broke them, rebounding and broke it, assists, broke it. Bryce went on a tear. So if you want options, then you look at personnel. They couldn't be set up better, dude. If the Jazz are a stock, I'm buying stock, because I also know who's coaching the team, and over the last number of years, the affinity that I've grown to have for him. I don't know him well. I met him once or twice, but damn, he gets the best out of his dudes, and he really does care about them. So, dude, I'm excited. I'm really excited.
So when you look at the growth of Ace Bailey, and I want to focus in on Ace a little bit here and get your thoughts, because Will Hardy talked about what Ace needs to improve on, and so here's Will Hardy. Here's Will Hardy talking about what Ace needs to work on going into the offseason.
Ace's body is first and foremost. With young players, the biggest gap you're trying to bridge early is the physical one. Ace is an incredible athlete. He's also young. I think for him to try to take this offseason and really dig into his body is very important. And then I think he and Keontae, it's going to be about your individual defense. We're going to have to take a huge step in that area before a collective group can take a step forward on the defensive side.
So Austin Ainge also talks about Ace Bailey and what he wants him to work at.
When we talk with Ace about the summer, it's the weight room. He's going to live in there, and he's excited about it. We talk to him a lot about strength, and anytime he can bump anyone and make a shot, he makes sure and tells me about it after the game and flexes and all that, so he knows. Defense is going to be a team-wide goal for us this summer, so every guy's been told that we're making a big leap next year defensively, so that'll be a focus for his. And then I think looking at our team, again, we have a lot to figure out still, but I would say ball handling will be the other thing that a lot of guys will need to improve on, and Ace also.
All right, so a couple of things there. I want to get back to the team here in a moment, but let's talk about Ace Bailey in particular. There's two things that were brought up by Will Hardy and Austin Ainge. Number one, strength, get in the locker room. The dude's 19. Like, he should have been, he's just a biscuit toss away from his high school prom. And here he is playing NBA basketball at a high level against some grown-ass men. It's not easy for these guys to do. And so it's not a knock on Ace. It's just the overall growth and development of the human body to where he needs to be. And he spends time in the weight room, and he can get there, correct?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, pull out pictures of yourself at 18 and 17. I mean, I look like a different human being.
Yeah.
I look like Gumby compared to what I look like now. And I think that'd be the case for most. So I've seen that, like Kessler came in, and that was the big thing for him. Year one to year two, the growth in his body was staggering. And then he was able to go out and rather than absorb the blows. And the hard part the first year is you don't know where the blows are coming from, bro.
Yeah.
You because you don't have the know-how. So you gain the know-how, and then you add the strength. And like Austin said, and dude, this front office, Like, they are so good. Like, Austin Ainge is brilliant. And he knows players, you know what I mean? And like he said right there, it's like, you know, year one, you're kind of, and if you look at Ace, he's trying to find space all year. You know, it's fadeaways, it's leaning. Even on his jumpers, he didn't trust that he had enough space. It was kind of leaning always. You get 15 pounds. I mean, it's the difference between last year with Cody, again, who gained a ton of know-how between last year and the summer, and then added, you know, some bulk. Now, he's got to still go there, but I think Ace's frame is going to be scary when it's all said and done. You know, like,
yeah.
You know, I mean, think about some of the guys that are built like him. You know, if he just adds some, he doesn't need to get huge, but just lean and mean and deliver a blow, and it's going to be a game changer. I said this on the pre and post. I'll say it here. We saw the jump that Keontae had this year. Ace has got that level of jump in his game. With the, you know, for Keontae, the unlock was some of that was mental, and a lot of it was know-how. And in fairness, he was thrown into a tough situation having to be the point guard, which is a position he never played. So all that given, those were his hurdles, you know, and Ace's will be, and it's crazy because I said the very same thing the other night. It's strength, it's defense, consistent defense, and I like he's in the right spots. It's not this is more of a understanding of where to be for him. It's not a willingness thing. And then, and strength helps your defense, by the way. And 3 is ball handling, because he does need to get where he needs to get. And he's going to be playing in more space next year because of the guys around him. So mark my words, that dude's got as big a jump in him as Keontae's.
I thought Ben Anderson, he joined me for a segment yesterday. I thought he brought up a really good point. We all are loving the circus-like shot attempts that Ace Bailey can make and attempt out there. And he said, you know, that's great, and that's awesome that he has that in his arsenal, but that's also maybe a byproduct of him not being strong enough to get to where he really wants to be or needs to be to finish at the rim and to make the shots that he wants to take. So while it's great that he's taking these shots and knocking down some really crazy shots, in reality, you hope he gets stronger so he doesn't have to rely on those.
Yeah, I mean, I heard a little drop on the zone. I mean, I listened.
I love it.
I've listened my whole life, you know. When I drive around, that's what's on. But I heard a little drop from Bear, and he was talking about the other night's loss and how they got too much east-west. You know, hockey, like basketball, you got to get north-south, man. There's no use going one way or the other. You got to get going north and south. And when Ace can play on a direct line, and that's what Keontae really learned this year, is play through contact. Look at Keontae's free throw numbers this year. They were astounding because he figured out how to play through contact. When Ace gets that and is not trying to fade and not get contact, but actually seek it out and finish through it, ooh, man, that's where you want to get.
So obviously the sky's the limit, but you heard a quote from Austin Ainge, and I want to end our chat with this because I thought this was really fascinating. He said, defense is going to be a team-wide goal for us this summer, so every guy's been told that we're making a big leap next year defensively. No discussion. So it's like, all right, it's all about the defense right now. And when you're seeing a team give up, 140, 150 points a game, yeah, defense is going to be absolutely critical for the development of this team. Do you feel like they can get there with the current roster available to them if everybody's healthy and they've got a full regime of players at the disposal of Will Hardy?
Yeah, defense can not only be improved, it can actually become a strength for this team. You've got one of the best young rim protectors in Kessler. I mean, his numbers, mirror Gobert's in terms of the shots that he dissuades just because he's in there. Then you've got Jay, who's former Defensive Player of the Year, and just crazy instincts to block from the weak side. And a big part of defense is rebounding, mind you. And so then you add, Lauri, and you add Ace, and those guys are huge. So you've got size in the rebounding department. I just think that it could shape up with them. And now the perimeter guys, that's where defense is. Can you guard your yard? Can you keep a dude from going past you and not requiring help. Because at its core, basketball is if you get 2 on the ball, the offense is ahead. And now the ball is trying to beat the defense in their recovery. So if you don't have to get 2 on the ball ever, your defense is in the right spots, you can be solid. And so that's the end game then for those wing guys is you got to guard 2 feet to your left and 2 feet to your right. And if they can get better at that alone with the rim protection and rebounding, yeah, I think it can be a strength.
That 2 feet defense, is that a Rick Majerus thing? Or is that a 1 foot defense?
You know where I actually got that was Heath Schroyer.
Oh, yeah?
He'd cut it down and say, I can't say everything he said because he was just a walking at that point, he was a walking everything.
Yes.
He would say whatever it had to be said. And then I don't know if like OSHA had to come in afterwards and like spray the arena down. Some crazy stuff was said.
By the way,
but it was more like guard 2 feet. Just guard them 2 feet left, 2 feet right.
Heath Schroyer, by the way, the number 2 man at LSU right now. How about that?
Yeah, the killer part of that is they wanted Will back and basically said, "Hey, I'll go back if you hire the best administrator I've ever had."
That was a package deal, and it could
that
not
was
be
a package deal.
It couldn't be happier for our guy Heath Schroyer, one of the best dudes. I got to know him a lot over the last summer, and man, just spending some time on the phone with him, you feel he's like your ultimate hype guy. He's the best, man. I love that guy.
Well, this is what I'll leave you with.
All right.
Heath is a guy, and you're a guy. I try to be a guy like this. When you find authentic people in this world, you hold on to them. You really do. Because there are so many people that are living one way and being another. And you find out, when it's tough, you find out who your people are. So at the bottom line is, that's what Heath Schroyer. Heath Schroyer is a guy, and he hired the party hounds at McNeese State.
No way, really?
Yeah, he did. We played at McNeese State.
Nice.
So friends take care of friends.
He is one of the best dudes out there, man. Fired up for him. And you know what? I think you and I need to make a road trip down to Baton Rouge and hang out with him at LSU for a game this year.
Yeah, I think that I've never been there. I think that would be really fun.
Yeah,
I'll see if I can get some time off work, and we'll swing that.
So you can leave another dream catcher, is what you're telling me?
I did leave Lloyd's. Yeah, that didn't happen.
So you could do that.
No, see, it's a work trip because I'm going to go pick it up.
Sniper.
Yeah, he is a sniper, isn't he? And he's a freaking elephant too. He never forgets anything. Yeah.
Oh, he sits there and waits, and then once it's there, it's
bam.
It's like a blow dart.
Yeah.
I set my guy up with a dream catcher to bring good vibes to his calls, and he leaves it like his first road trip.
It was like the second road trip.
No, it was not.
Tim, you're the best, man.
Guys,
we appreciate it. Yeah.
I love you guys, but you're crazy. Remember the trank dart?
Oh, yeah. Hey,
you're crazy.
You're crazy, but I love you.
Hey, Tim, let's do it again soon, shall we?
You guys call me, and I'm here. You know that.
I like it. All right, there he is. The great Tim LaComb right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Believe it or not, this guy actually has friends.
Nice.
This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey, Lloyd, guess where I'm going to be tonight?
Where are you going to be?
Utah
tonight,
Mammoth
Scotty?
hockey. Let's go.
Nice. Covering?
No, I will not be covering the game. I will be in the stands with my wife and my son and probably one of his buddies. I'm trying to get the older kid to get off work, but he's a hardworking man. So
As the older, has he been to a game yet?
the older, no, he's not. Brody's been to some. Brooks is not.
Well, because he's a working
Brooks
man.
is, and look, he's going
he
to...
He puts money ahead of everything, and I respect the hell out of that.
He's going to college. He's working. And by the way, if you ever go to El Matador and Brooks is your waiter, make sure to tip extra because we're paying for college. So
that would be nice. That would be helpful.
That would be nice. So
much appreciated.
Yes. If you go see Todd and Cammie at El Matador, best Mexican restaurant in the state of Utah, and you have this lovely, handsome young man named Brooks as your server, just be like, hey, I understand. The grind is real.
The grind is real. Yes, it is.
So let me ask you this. Speaking of my son, Brooks, you tell me if this is off base or not. This is completely out of left field. But
okay.
So somebody had in the past, and I tweeted about it, and this family came in to the restaurant and ordered all the, like a $120 meal, right? Specialty drinks, all this stuff. And $120 at El Matador, holy smokes, you are eating well. It was about 5 people. They all had really,
had themselves a good time.
Had themselves a great time. $120 goes a long, long way at El Matador. Trust me on this one. So they pack up and they're ready to leave. My son drops off the check, the little folio thing. Walks off. Family signs their thing and they're out the door. A tip of...
Oh, he must have killed it. He must have absolutely killed it. A bill that size?
A tip of 25, not dollars, cents.
No.
A quarter. They left a quarter.
That's
so. This was, by the way, this is 3 months ago, and so I brought it up on Twitter. I'm like, hey, hey, look, if you can afford to go to a restaurant, you can afford.
Did he wrong him?
No.
He must have.
Well, that's what I thought too. And
like, what did you do?
Did you tick him off? He's like, no, and everybody usually talks highly of him.
Yeah.
So,
knowing your middle child, Brooks, he's
the most responsible dude.
Very responsible, yes. And that is a respectful young man right
now,
there.
Had it been Brody, I would have understood something could have happened.
Okay, what did you do? Don't lie to me.
Yes,
what
exactly.
What did you do?
You did something. You ate half of their chips and
Open
salsa.
up. Tell me.
Something happened. Correct.
Because I'm going to get to the bottom of it.
So fast forward last week, this same family comes in, and he was so upset.
I would assume as soon as they left and they saw that, their faces were ingrained into his mind.
Yes, he knew exactly who they were. They come in again last weekend, and he's like, "Oh, I don't." And he goes like, "I don't want these guys to sit. They stiffed me last time." And the hostess was like, "I'm really sorry." He's like, "No, it's fine. We'll do it." And so he goes out of his way, and he's like, "Hey, is everything good?" And they're like, "Oh, service is great. Okay, can I refill this drink? Can I get more chips and salsa?" Like he's killing them with kindness.
Above and beyond.
Killing them with kindness. They wrap up. He hands the folio to him, and he's like, "Hey, was everything good? Is there anything else I can do for you?" "No, it was great. Service was awesome. Food was great." Boom. Comes back. Family leaves. Opens up the folio.
Don't say it.
Not a quarter this time. 0 on the tip. No tip whatsoever.
Oh, come on.
No tip. Now, again, here's the thing. I understand we have like this little tip issue with our society right now. I get it. Totally understand. Not okay. Like when you go to a fast food joint and
they ask you to tip before you've even gotten your food.
And they turn the little monitor around. They're they're going to ask you a question or two. And you're like, come on. Or, you stop and you grab a hot chocolate or a coffee at Starbucks and they're like, hey, just a couple of questions for you. And you're like, come on, really? Really? This has been going on forever. This isn't new. Restaurants, sit-down restaurants, the dude makes like $2.50 an hour.
Yeah, this is different. This is different than a Starbucks or whatever, a little burger joint that's before you even get your food. This is a little bit different. You're sitting down. You're getting a service. You're getting, and it sounds like that he's absolutely killing it, and he wants to make sure just to see what it's going to be like again. Because he's probably thinking to himself, God, maybe I did.
I know.
Maybe I wasn't. So I'm going to go this time. I'm going to make sure, because I know who you guys are, so I'm going to make sure and kill it for you guys.
Yeah.
And ask you all along the way, everything good? Do you need anything else? Can I do anything else for you? You want some more chips? What do you want?
That's what he did.
To go 0.
0.
That family should be blackballed.
I do think
they should be.
I do think, and I don't want to go out on a limb here. I do think that they're not welcome at that restaurant anymore.
I hope so.
I think. I don't know. I don't want to speak. I know that one of the owners did actually go out in the parking lot and talk to the family, and they're like, "Oh, he was great. He was awesome." And then he's like, "Well, it's kind of customary to leave a tip," and they're like, "Well, we don't have to."
Oh, yeah, you kind of do. You kind of do.
You kind of do.
That's what good human beings do.
I mean, I don't know. Am I off base on that?
No, I think there is there's reason to be upset. No, I don't think you're off base. That you have to tip.
And
you have a well, it doesn't really matter who it is. Whoever's killing it for you, that's kind of how they make a little bit of their living, is doing that.
100% how they make their living.
Yeah. Like, come on.
So again, I sent something out on Twitter when it happened a few months ago, and we have great listeners. They're like, send me his Venmo. And I'm like, no. And even he was like, no, we don't need to do that. I'm just like, no, we're good. No Venmo. He's good. He's very well taken care of. The restaurant treats him extremely well. That's why you need to go to El Matador. Great restaurant, great people, great owners, great food, more importantly. And but that was an interesting one for sure. That was a bizarre encounter.
Like, come on, if you're gonna go,
just take care.
Yeah, take care of them.
Take care of your
Even
waiters.
if you want to just do, I think you should do more than the 10%. But even if you want to do the 10 to 15%, you got to do something though.
If you have miserable service, like the worst,
yes,
that's 10%, right?
That's bare minimum.
Yeah. If you
then, I don't go below that. It's just like, okay,
honestly,
they're having a bad day.
I start like for bad service, I start at 20, and then I'll go up to 25, 26, 27%. That's just kind of how I go. But that's also because I'm related to people in that industry. So now, look, if you have a busser that's a redheaded, mouthy little SOB, then I understand because
I get to where you're coming from.
That's our youngest, and he can be a bit of a problem. My middle, not so much. All right. Public service announcement. I know that we wasted an entire segment on that. I just had to get it off my chest. Let's take care of our peeps here. Plus, he's paying for college.
Help him out.
Yeah,
I agree. I agree.
And by the way,
and I'm so with you. By the way, on all those things they're asking. Like before the food's even, it's like, no, don't put this pressure on me. Because then it's like I feel like I have to. Because it's like, what are you going to do to my food if I don't?
Oh, yeah. No. And
I don't like that.
Yeah. And by the way, for those of you out there that think that because I call Utah State games that I have this disdain for the University of Utah or BYU, hey, just keep in mind, I'm calling some BYU softball games, and my son and his money and our money is going to the University of Utah. So, look. We are an equal opportunity. My middle, who knows? I may have to send my son to Weber State just so we can go for the what do you call it? The Power Four. I don't know, but look, I got ties everywhere, so no hate.
Well, obviously Brooks is one of your smarter kids because he's going to
University.
Yeah, he's one of your smarter
Look
kids.
at you! Look at you go! All right, what you may have missed coming up next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You're listening to Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
What you may have missed right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, brought to you by Paris RV. It's Toy Hauler Month at Paris RV with over 200 new and used toy haulers in stock across 20 brands. They're sure to have what you're looking for. See them at any of their 4 locations at parisrv.com. All right, what you may have missed, final round of the Masters. And I have a hard time really getting cranky with Sergio Garcia. Now, look, I know we need to hoist him up and hold him to a higher standard than us weekend hacks. But let's be honest, haven't you all wanted or have broken a club out on the golf course? Like, come on, you're just having a day. Things aren't going right. And you just slice a shot into another fairway. And you have that club right in your hands at the moment where you're the angriest you've been in weeks. And you just slam that thing down. I've done it. Lloyd, I'm sure you've done it. Like that just emotional surge. It's not who you are as a person. That's not a indication of any anger issues. It's just that split moment where you're like, I wish I had something to hit with. Oh, I do. And you slam it down. So Sergio Garcia is having a bad round. Tanks a driver, puts it into a bunker. Slams the club down a couple times, then sees a cooler, takes a swing at that thing, bam, breaks the driver. Not allowed to replace it either. So he has to go the rest of his round without that driver in his bag. Again, is it professional? No. Is it a little embarrassing? Sure. Is it something that I think we need to skewer the guy over? Not really. I mean, he didn't really hurt anybody. Did he embarrass the Masters? No. Did he embarrass himself?
Hurt somebody.
Yes.
He could have hurt somebody. Had he snapped that club and say it was a little hanging right there, and he gave it a swing, and that thing popped off, and then all of a sudden somebody gets sporked right in the neck.
Jeez, man.
By the club. Hey, I'm just saying.
This isn't like Final Destination kind of movie.
I only say this because I had a friend.
Is it Final Destiny or
Final Destination?
Yeah, that's right.
That did something similar and then swung it, and the thing snapped off, and that thing went, and you saw it just pierce the ground. You're like, wow, that could have killed somebody.
You're going to have to lay low for a while.
I know. When I saw it, I was like, "Come on, man! You're at Augusta.
Yeah.
What do we like? This isn't This isn't the what's that? The Waste Management. This isn't Waste Management. This is like Augusta.
Waste Management's taken a lot of strays this week.
But it's what people love that.
I love it, because it's laid back and it looks like a weekend pro-am.
Absolutely. You know? There's nothing wrong with it. It has its place.
Yes.
But you're at Augusta. You have to be held at a higher standard.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. What are we doing at Augusta? We're bringing the Kelsey brothers. This is like Happy Gilmore has invaded the Masters. What are we doing? That guy should never. I'm just going to say, I'm going to vent here. That guy should never get a hit off that course. He should never get to do an approach shot.
Or Sergio.
No, Kelsey.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm sorry. I went somewhere else.
All right.
The Kelsey brother, who got to take a shot on one of the holes, should never get a swing of club on that course, unless he's invited by a member. Sorry, dude, you haven't earned it.
How did he do, by the way? I didn't even know that he did.
I might have made it on the green. I don't even know. I just saw him do it. They had him try a shot.
Jason or Travis?
It was Jason.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's like, no, you haven't earned that.
Yeah. Look.
Get out of here.
He has earned it because his brother is dating or engaged. Are they married yet?
I don't know. I still think that's not going to last.
My girl T-Swizzle? You don't think it's going to last?
No, I don't.
Oh, Lloyd. Come on.
No, it's not.
Have a little faith in love.
There's no love there.
That is pure love between those two.
Really?
Yeah.
This is not come from you. This is a different angle.
Somebody's got to pick up the love is love.
Oh, I love love.
Yeah.
Love is so wonderful.
Well, okay. Look, so if let's say your brother, got into a relationship with somebody super famous, like one of the most famous people on the planet, and you get the residual, props for that, the perks that come with that. I'm not going to blame you one bit.
No, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be a freeloader.
But
absolutely.
But you also understand you're going to take a little criticism.
I am going to take criticism, and I don't care.
And you're going to laugh all the way to the bank.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'll do it. That's fine.
I mean, have you anybody actually listened to that podcast? Like, we all see the clips rolling in on the reels and everything like that.
I occasionally see clips, but I've never actually listened to the podcast.
Does anybody actually sit down and actually listen to that whole thing?
No.
Apparently, we're the only ones who haven't, because that's the number one stinking podcast.
Hey, look at you. You paved the way, by the way, for our guy in Cincinnati now.
Run that by
the
me.
head coach.
Oh,
you paved
Jared
the way
Calhoun.
for Jared Calhoun to get on to that podcast.
Our guy at Calhoun, who spent a lot of time on this show, is now making appearances with the Kelsey brothers, and I'd like to think that we had something to do with that.
Taking the reps with you.
Yeah,
is what got
that
him
guy
there.
was not media savvy until
absolutely
he got
not.
with us. Yeah. We did that.
In fact, our first conversation, I was like, oh, geez, I don't know if this is going to be a great interview.
I did text him, and I said, hey, I want 3% of whatever you're making because of that. And he said, sure. And then he laughed, and then he said, lose this number. So.
Who is this?
Yeah, exactly. New phone. Who's this? This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Believe it or not, this guy actually has friends.
Nice.
This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The KSL Sports Zone. Hey, make sure to join the show tomorrow. We will be live at Bar W Beef, the pop-up event at Cal Ranch Store in Spanish Fork, 950 North Main Street. Come by, grab yourself some steaks, some burgers. Off you go. Best beef on the planet, Bar W Beef and barwbeef.com. All right, joining us now for our weekly conversation. Here's a man who knows his way around a good steak, Kurt Helin from NBC Sports and ProBasketballTalk.com. Kurt, how are you?
I'm doing well. I've gotten older. I find myself eating fewer steaks than I used to, which is, maybe that's the problem.
Is that doctor prescribed, or is that just you trying to make better choices?
Mostly the latter. Yeah, it's not doctor prescribed, but
I had
trying to pick my spots. And now, if I have a steak, like I've got to have a good one. It's got to be done right.
Yes.
Like I'm not messing around with like mediocre steak anymore.
We look. You've probably gotten to meet or be around Craig Bolerjack a little bit. Longtime play-by-play guy. He's a icon here in the state of Utah. He's a man's man. Like we look at Bowler as many people look at John Wayne. And I had him on the air a week ago, and we were talking about steaks. And he's like, "Yeah, get that steak, get a little medium well." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" Did you just say medium well? He's like, "Well, yeah, I like a little dark." I'm like, it's almost like when you see your dad cry for the first time. It shattered me inside to know that Bowler likes his steaks medium well. It hurt me to the core.
Yeah. That's medium well is the number of people around the NBA, people I know in general who like their steaks well done, stuns me because I can't.
Really?
I want mine mooing.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm
run the cattle. Run the
spectrum.
cow by the table. And let me just rip it off. That's
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness. All right. Best road steak. I know everybody's fired up about St. Elmo's because that's where the Final Four was, so everybody's talking about that. I did Nobu once in Vegas. That was solid, but I can't. I think those are probably the two.
Nobu's, it's kind of a sushi place, but they've got really good meat.
Yeah.
I also did Cut in Vegas once, which was Wolfgang's Puck's place that I think there's a couple of, and that was spectacular. So that's the one that comes to mind off the top of my head.
Nice. All right.
But I don't. Yeah. It's weird. I tend to hunt out funky ethnic things.
Oh, nice. All right.
So it's kind of cool.
So
it depends.
You've got the Jazz now. The tanking's over, and it's now time to win and win at a high level. And those are the expectations. Jazz fans are like, okay, we gave you this. You made the trade for Jaren Jackson. You hope that you have a top 3 draft pick, but you got a starting lineup next year that looks like Keontae George, Ace Bailey, Lauri Markkanen, Jaren Jackson, and if they can figure out the Walker Kessler thing, throw him in at the 5. They feel like that should be a lineup with some pieces on the bench that should get you into the playoffs. Would you agree with that assessment?
I'm sorry.
We got you now. It looks like we lost Kurt. We'll try to get reconnected with Kurt here. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. But we talked about this yesterday. I think those are reasonable expectations for Jazz fans. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. You never know how the injury situation is going to play out. You never know how a lot of the other elements are going to play out before it's all said and done. But if this team stays healthy and they're able to add some pieces, keep some pieces in place, I don't see why you can't expect this team to at least bare minimum be a play-in team, if not a 6 seed in the upcoming, in next year's playoffs. I think that's, by the way, that was a little playoffs. I think that's honestly a reasonable expectation to have if you're a Jazz fan. Now, again, a lot of things have to go your way. You have to stay healthy. But you saw this team for a brief moment when Lauri Markkanen was out on the court with Jaren Jackson, and this team looked really good. And we talk about the defensive issues of this team. Well, you just throw in a defensive player of the year, a 2-time All-Star in Jaren Jackson. You throw in a healthy Lauri Markkanen. You look at Ace Bailey, and hopefully he makes a jump from year 1 to year 2. Keontae George, who is knocking on the door of a trajectory of what might put him in an All-Star game before it's all said and done. And look, there's so much to be excited about. There is a lot to be fired up about if you're a Jazz fan. And I know the last few years have been hell for you. Totally get it. Understand it. But you just know that, hey, there's a light at the end of the tunnel here, and that now it's winning time. And so you can have expectations. Your expectation over the last 2 years was to lose, and you got grumpy every time they'd win a game. That's how it was. They beat Memphis, a few games ago, and everybody's like, doggone it, why'd you have to do that? Why'd you have to blow out that team? Guess what? Those days are over with. Now you celebrate wins, and that's all you have. And your expectations as a fan is to be in the playoffs. That's where you want to be. That's where you expect to be. And that's totally fine and totally understandable. Kurt Helin joining us right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Kurt, we apologize for little technical issues, but what I was saying is that
would have been on my end.
Nah. Whenever anything happens, you just say it's Lloyd's fault, and then we move on.
Yeah, well, obviously. Okay.
But I said before we lost you that Jazz fans now are looking at a starting lineup that looks like if Walker Kessler can be figured out in restricted free agency, Lauri Markkanen, Jaren Jackson, Ace Bailey, Keontae George, who knows what you get in the upcoming NBA draft. And Jazz fans are like, okay, we gave you the losing. We understood it. But now it's time to be knocking on the doors of the playoffs. Is that a fair assessment to make with this lineup?
Absolutely. And I think it's funny, Ace Bailey, depending on where you land, Bailey may be the guy who becomes sixth man out of that group. And we'll have to, look, Will Hardy gets to play around with it. Maybe you have to rotate the 3 bigs at the same, maybe they don't all play nicely together. That's a huge lineup, but,
you've got time to play around with it. And that said, yeah, I think this is a team that's, look, the West is ridiculously deep, so it's not going to be simple, but this is a team that should be looking at a top 8 kind of seed and making the playoffs next year. Like, that is a legitimate goal, a legitimately good goal. And maybe they're better than that. We'll see how everything shakes out. But right now, without even knowing who they draft, at a bare minimum, I think that's a really fair goal for this team. And Jazz fans, man, it's been 3 years. You've put up with plenty.
Yeah.
That's like maxed out losing. You can't. I think 2 is really ideal. 3 sometimes is okay. In this case, was just kind of the way it worked. But anything longer than that, and I think you really start to hurt the fan base, wherever you are.
So if you can lay out, do you know essentially when that coin toss is going to happen for the Jazz and whether they're have the 4th best odds or the 5th best odds?
I do not. I have not checked in on that.
Okay.
I keep checking in with the league, but that's more about what they're doing with Luka, not anything else.
Even Austin Ainge yesterday wasn't exactly sure when we kind of pressed him a little bit on if he knew. So he knew it was probably coming up next week. Thought it might be on Monday, but that would essentially, if the Jazz win that coin toss, they're at 4. That means they're guaranteed to hold on to that draft spot. But the more importantly, that they just want to get into that top 3. I think if you get in that top 3, then you have a chance to really, really, accelerate your drive to get into the playoffs.
I'll even go one more. I think it's top 4.
Really?
I think Caleb Johnson out of North Carolina, 6'10" wing, like, he's a little more of a project, but frankly outplayed Boozer and Peterson when he was head to head with them. Again, you're going to have to do some juggling to fit whoever into the Jazz lineup, but I think that he is another guy who's fully capable of just walking in and having a real impact on day one.
So that's what it all boils down to. The lottery will take place coming up on May 10th. And then after that, next year at this time, what do you think that lottery looks like?
First off, it's amazing how tanking is going to stop, but the league is going to take credit for it because of whatever. I'm trying to think of the radio-friendly word, manure that they shovel this summer. It's simply this: it's not a deep draft.
Yes,
it's not nearly the same, and because of that, you're not going to get the energy to tank that you got this year. Where part of it is too, it's not even like, okay, last year you're like, man, I could get Cooper Flagg at the top of this. If I'm near the bottom, I've got to help my odds for that. And with the flattened odds now, even more teams might want to jump in that. But this year, it's like, hey, man, if I end up anywhere in the top 8 or 9, I can get a really good player, like a really good player. Like, that's more motivation than most years. So, yeah, this year was particularly bad. Next year, they'll be like, look, the tanking's better. And you're like, yeah, it's because the next 2 drafts are less impressive.
Yeah. There is, and I've said this too, I'm glad you mentioned this, because 3 years ago, you had Wemby. Last year, you had Cooper Flagg. This year, you got the reincarnation of 2003 by a lot of accounts. And so everybody's fired up for this. And then at that All-Star game next year, I'm not sure where it's at, but wherever the All-Star game is next year. In Phoenix, Adam Silver's going to get up at the podium and say, these flattened odds, they all worked. You see this? We've really put a dent in tanking. Stop it. No, you haven't, because there's nobody worth drafting right now. There's nobody worth tanking for. You've had 3 iconic drafts with altering players in Wemby, Cooper Flagg, and then this one. And that's why people went all in on those. And then if you don't have that, then nobody cares, and people are going to, obviously adjust accordingly.
Yeah, exactly. And wait, but, and I don't know what it is this far out, but 3-4 years from now, when the next franchise-changing guy comes through like that, guess what's going to happen, man?
Yep.
The teams are going to tank to try to land that player because it changes. And the thing is, owners are good with it, because if you're not good and you go out and land your Cooper Flagg or your Cade Cunningham or whomever, you just made your franchise, A, worth a lot more, and B, just better, just flat out better on the court. I mean, again, Ryan Smith got a big slap on the wrist, and it's not my money, so it's easy for me to say. If you guys get a top 3 pick, he's going to take that $500,000 as cost of doing business, man. It's fine.
Oh yeah. No, if somehow considering where he went to college, if the Jazz were somehow able to get A.J. DeBonsa, they make that fine back in about an hour and a half in jersey sales.
Oh, God, yeah. And by the way, that means you got the number one pick.
Yes.
I don't think he's going any lower than number one. I mean, there are reportedly some teams where there are really people still high on Peterson, but he's, as you saw in person, he is a bigger risk now. Even if you think the upside is higher, if the risk is higher, and I believe AJ's close but lower risk, the other thing GMs like is keeping their job, man. At the end of the day, if you go into this draft with a top three, and by the way, one of them probably doesn't pan out to be – I hope that's not true, but statistically one of them is going to pan out to not be the franchise.
Yeah.
He'll be good but not great.
There's a Darko in there somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Something is going to happen. It always does. Let's hope it's not Darko. But that's how you lose jobs, man. That's how it's fine. And the art of finding guys at the back of the draft, which Memphis has been really good at. Like, you're kind of like, really, Memphis? Yeah, Memphis is really good at finding guys deep in the draft. That's become a real skill too. But if you blow this one at the top, that's how you lose your job, man. You passed on who to get to whom?
I remember, this is how long we've had you on the air. I remember before I guess right after Oklahoma City drafted Chet Holmgren, and I remember thinking, because of his injury issues, that could be a real bad situation for a GM because if you draft him and he's injury-ridden and he becomes Greg Oden, you're going to get fired. If you don't draft him and he becomes a superstar, then you're going to get fired. They took him, and it certainly has panned out very well for him. So, I mean, the risk-reward is through the roof when it comes to the draft.
It does, and it speaks to, and I think it's something that the Jazz have been working towards, organizational stability, where that GM's job necessarily isn't on the line because of one draft, where the coach isn't on the line necessarily because of one season, goes a long way to letting you take those kind of risks. Now, Oklahoma City nails those risks way more than most teams. They're really good, but in the front office, but having that stability to take that swing and miss, and I'll use this, like, there's people asking about the Clippers and now what do they do? And obviously there's the whatever's coming with the aspirations, suspensions, and whatever. But they're like, oh, man, they misfired. I'm like, then you take that Kawhi Leonard, Paul George swing 10 times out of 10. Didn't work, but you make the smart play, you make the big chance, and it doesn't always pan out, but they're not going to get in trouble for it. And that means that next time something big comes up, they'll take another swing because Lawrence Frank isn't losing his job.
Kurt Helin, NBC Sports, ProBasketballTalk.com, joining us. All right, true or false? Doc Rivers has coached his last game in the NBA.
True. I don't think – never say never, because he gets a lot of midseason hires. He's somebody who can step in and be competent. But I kind of think his time is just passed by in terms of that job's going to go to somebody younger. He's not going to want to be in on a developmental project. He's going to have to be just the right spot. I think he'll be picky. He's going to land. I would be shocked if he's not broadcasting for one of the networks next year. He's good at that. And some of the stuff he's doing where he is really committed to not crashing the offensive boards and getting back on defense is not the way the NBA has trended. And I think I don't want to say the game's passed him by. I don't think that's necessarily true, but I think he's not cutting edge anymore. And I think you're going to get teams just sort of like done. Like, nah, he's old and he's not cutting edge, and let's go. Even if we're going to retread, there's better retreads out there than Doc at this point.
True or false? Opening night in Golden State, Steve Kerr will still be the head coach.
True. I think he's going to do what Pop said he was going to do, which was, I'm going to coach until Duncan retires and walk away. I think Kerr is genuinely going to do that with Curry. Like, he's going to ride out the Stephen Curry era and then probably transition into their front office. I don't think they'll let him just walk, but I'd be surprised if he's not coaching next year. They're so tight as an organization. They're just not really worried about it.
It's going to be a really interesting offseason for sure because there's a bunch of storylines, and this thing could get, just with a lot of, I guess, changing of the guard, if you will. With Golden State, obviously their window is closed. Giannis, wherever he's going to end up, because, I mean, true or false, Giannis will be on the starting lineup next year for Milwaukee. That's a big false, correct?
Correct. Yeah, he will not be back. I mean, never say never, but no, he is not going to be back. They're going to move on, and it's going to be interesting to see. That is a terrible rebuild situation.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Because they traded away all their assets to go all in. They've got $22 million a year in dead money for like 3 or 4 more years on the Damian Lillard buyout. Like it's a mess. So that is a brutal job now. And he will be. Look, there's going to be multiple big names on the move. John Morant's going to be on the move. I would be surprised if LeBron's back with the Lakers. Obviously Giannis is the best of that group, but there's going to be some big names switching teams next year. You're going to see a lot of shuffling.
By the way, have you? I ran it by somebody. It may have been you. The Bill Simmons LeBron theory, where he signs a 10. Where he signs a 10-day with each team in the NBA. And
no, I hadn't heard that one.
Yeah, and so he makes his tour. His farewell is he signs a 10-day contract with each team in the NBA just so he can rack up jersey sales with each individual team.
That is really funny.
It's actually not a bad idea, honestly. Hey,
it's so funny. Like, I really enjoyed the 10-day era in Charlotte. He was like, that was the best 10 days for
yes. That's why we have the Derrick Rose honorable mention of a Utah Jazz man, as he was part of like a couple trades that was immediately bought out. But I think James Harden was once part of a Jazz trade too, and was immediately bought out.
I believe that is yes.
Oh, Russell Westbrook was too. Yeah, it's a
Russell Westbrook era.
Yeah. We could put together quite a team in their prime of guys that were at one point, one way, shape, or form, traded for by the Jazz. Kevin Love and Yusuf Nurkic went on the podium yesterday for the Jazz in their locker room cleanout, and were just absolutely talking about how great the Jazz were in treating them and their families and the trade and things along those lines. How much does that help the Jazz and their perception across the league when guys say this? Or is it still, look, I'm 23, 24 years old, Utah's not going to be on my radar?
Well, I think you kind of got to the heart of it. It's going to be a harder sell with a younger player. But for guys who have been around for a while, like Love, like Nurkic, who are, look, I've got a wife, I've got kids, I'm a little more settled. I'm not hitting the club every night, as far as you know. But you know what I mean. Those kind of players hear that kind of thing. The agents make note of that and say, hey, for the right player, this is a really good spot. This is a spot where you can settle and be comfortable. Phoenix has had that rep for years. Like, guys like Phoenix kind of as a more settled place than some of the other ones. So I think it helps, because with the core guys you've got next year, and this starts to look like a playoff team, getting those veterans on cheap contracts who are just, man, I want to play somewhere, they're going to treat me well, we're going to win. And that goes a long way to bringing them in and bringing in the kind of quality bench guys you need.
Kurt, next week we'll be talking playoffs, man. Always a pleasure. Thanks for your time, and let's do it again here soon.
I look forward to it, buddy.
There he is, Kurt Helin, NBC Sports, ProBasketballTalk.com, who's kind enough to join us every week right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
I'm here on the job site with Dale, who's a framing contractor.
Hey, good morning.
Dale traded up to Geico Commercial Auto Insurance for all his business vehicles. We're here where he needs us most.
Yep, they sure are.
We make it easy for him to save on all his insurance needs, all in one place, with coverage that fits his business and bottom line. Oh, I shouldn't have looked down.
It's all right.
We're so far up here.
Look at me. Take a deep breath.
No, I'm good. So good.
Get a commercial auto insurance quote today at geico.com and see how much you could save. It feels good to Geico.
Breaking down the teams you're passionate about. This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hope you're all having a great day. It is a Tuesday, the day after the Utah Jazz wrapped up, put the official bow on the season with some locker room cleanouts. Now, you had a chance to hear from Will Hardy. You've had a chance yesterday to hear from Austin Ainge and also Jaren Jackson. But a man you haven't heard from in a long time is Lauri Markkanen. Here's Lauri's conversation with the media.
This season been frustrating?
Yeah, it's not the results that you want, obviously, but trying to look at the big picture, I think we got a great future ahead of us, and that's kind of been the back of our minds as well, and trying to get the guys healthy and be ready to go. And I feel like we're doing progress on that. See the guys kind of pushing their bodies at the gym, and that's kind of motivating everybody else as well. But obviously not the results on the court that we've been wanting. So in that way, frustrating, but you've been trying to find positives.
I guess I'm actually kind of not talking about the results on the court. I mean, just like not being able to play kind of another year where it's the results you don't want. Like, has that been frustrating?
Yeah, but kind of what I just said, just you try to look at the positives and hitting your body right. And like, yeah, I mean, obviously frustrating not to be out there. You want to play every game, and especially home games like right now, just trying to feel like just bummed out being on the bench and seeing all the fans that come support us and not being out there. So that's the frustrating part. And so been trying to find positives to kind of hang in there and get my body right. And yeah.
Is there any way that you can improve without playing?
Yeah, I think you can see other stuff just watching, and but I think most importantly, you can talk to your teammates more and kind of see their tendencies, what they like to do, and kind of try to build that chemistry. Even though I'm not out there, you can see what the other guys like, and you can talk on the bench and in the locker room, and in that way, those are important moments.
Are you the type of person that writes that down, or is that just like in the hard drive in the back of your brain?
Kind of a brain. I don't write it down. If I see something, I try to just get the guy one-on-one and talk to him and kind of pick his brain and how he sees things, and maybe I can improve or learn something from younger guys or older guys, or whatever the case may be. But I think you can always improve.
Your numbers bounced back a lot this year. Any single thing or a couple things you would point to as the reason?
I always give credit to my teammates, right? So I think that made it easier. Keontae made a big jump, and that took some pressure off me as well. And but in general, I think we played within our system better, and that fit me better, moving off the ball. And I think our teammates did a great job of finding me, setting good screens for me, like having Nurk set down screens, and I don't think I've been that open in a while, and so those things matter, obviously. And then I think just did a better job of finishing at the rim and shooting the ball better, so that helps.
What type of impact did Jaren have on the locker room after he got here?
So what?
What type of impact has Jaren had on the locker room, even since he's not been on the floor?
Yeah, it's been good. You don't know the player in person before he gets here, right? So he's proven to be a lot more, I don't want to say this wrong, but like he's more into details than I thought, and he's really explaining it to the guys and how he sees the game, and he's a really smart player, and I was a really positive surprise as well. Not saying like I was expecting that, but like how vocal he is and how we talked on the bench right when he got here, like from day one. So he's been really good in that way, and then just the character in the locker room and having positive vibes the whole time, and so it's been a pleasure to have him.
Ace has taken a big step over the past couple months. What's most impressed you about his growth?
I mean, you always say game is slowing down, right? But I think for him, he sees just getting those reps coming down, pin downs, or just the way we play in our system. I think it is slowing down from him. He sees the reads better and taking his time. He's pace going to the shot, like he's not rushing. And I think this last couple months, he's really taken a step of seeing things even clearer on the court, and that helps him obviously score the ball really well, make good passes, and I think he's improved on the defensive end as well. And yeah, the whole year he's been a good offensive rebounder, and I'm glad that he's been kind of showing that even more now.
You mentioned Nurk. Him and Kevin are going to have free agent all seasons. They both said that they'd love to be back. First of all, how important for you would it be to have both of those guys back? And then the case of Kevin, how important is it to have a vet in a locker room who has seen every level?
I would love to have both of them back. Really good friends with both of them, and I think it would be a big thing for us just having an older guy, both of them older guys, and we've seen a lot of things, and Kevin's a champion, and like you go into a year, we have high expectations, and it's not like going to be perfect that you win every single game. There's going to be some rough stretches, and I think those things matter and how you handle it in the locker room, and that translates to the court. So I think those veteran guys who've been through it are very important, and so I would love for both of them to be back, and that's the part about the NBA. You never know what's going to happen, and you have really good friends on the team, and sometimes they switch teams, they get traded, they sign somewhere else, so you never know how things going to work out. But I mean, I've enjoyed my year, both of them kind of reuniting with Kevin from the Cleveland years, and still have the same chemistry, and so.
Do you think that this roster, I mean, I know you don't know what's going to happen this summer, but you're coming back, you're going to have you, Jaren, potentially Walker, Ace, Keontae, like that looks like a nice starting five. Do you think that this roster can make the playoffs?
I mean, things have to, obviously, the league is super talented, and I think we got to put it together, but we definitely have a chance. I think, and that's our mindset going into a year that we will make the playoffs, and that's everybody's goal. I've talked to the guys, and they're ready to go into offseason and work out and get better in every way possible and kind of be ready to go in October. But just, yeah, hopefully we can get great summer and add a couple pieces here, and I think it will be ready to go.
When you signed the deal, you said, you believed in the vision that Jay-Z and Danny had for this team, and I'm kind of curious now that we do look to be ramping up into, contention windows again, like, do you think that this is kind of that vision that you guys saw then, and does it better or is it worse? How does it compare?
Yeah, we never really talked about certain players specifically, but it's more so what we want and what we want to have in the locker room, and that, like, again, it translates to the court, and kind of we've always had a good relationship with front office guys. We've been open about things, and I think kind of it's great to see this kind of come to life, what they've been talking to us about, and so I'm really excited. But yeah, I wouldn't say this was exactly what we talked about, because we didn't talk in specifically, but like, we always stay in touch, and you see that's the best part about this ownership and front office, and like, they're around all the time. You're working out there in the gym, and it's not like official talk with like a meeting or anything, but it's just building the relationship and having the trust and kind of enjoying being around each other. So
I know the playoffs drought for you, but like, what would making the playoffs mean for you?
That's what you play for, right? So that would mean a lot.
How has Austin been?
He's been good. Obviously, don't know him as long of a time as the other guys, but again, same thing. Just he's at the gym all the time, and we see each other and have these little talks about life or basketball, and so he's been really good.
What are your summer plans?
Stay here for a little bit, and then go to Finland, and we have a couple of national team games, and I'm excited to have that as my ramp up again going to the NBA season. So a little bit of a family friends time, but then a lot of basketball again. So
if you have to play more three next year, what do you have to do this summer?
Just keep working on the explosiveness and like sideways moving type of stuff, and then I think a lot of film work goes into it too. Like, 3 and 4, they're kind of same spot, but like, you're guarding a little faster guys at the 3, and but the matchups always especially how the game is now with a lot of switching happening. So just working on my body, get that healthy, and try to play on the perimeter a little more.
There you go, Lauri Markkanen, as the Jazz wrap up the season and get ready for what will be a crazy offseason, looking ahead to the start of next year. All right, coming up next, we continue to get you ready for a little Mammoth hockey. In fact, we're about 12 minutes away from the general manager of the Utah Mammoth, Bill Armstrong, from joining us right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
AG and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Mammoth in action tonight at the Delta Center. Game starts at 7 o'clock. Back for his weekly conversation. One of the best dudes on the planet. Always kind enough to make time for us, even on a game day. It's Bill Armstrong, general manager of the Utah Mammoth. Bill, how are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
We're great. And it was, look, I know that you've got two games that you're not particularly happy about, these last two games, but what was it like in that arena when you look up and you realize you guys had just punched your ticket to the playoffs and that crowd was just losing their mind?
Well, it was a great thing. You know, I listen, at the end of the day, you know, we're in the what comes next business. So we enjoyed it for a moment, and then it's all about trying to, you know, refocus and just get drilled in about the playoffs. And I think that's why our fans were so excited, obviously, because they're going to see playoff hockey. And it was kind of an interesting celebration because, you know, we were like super excited about making the playoffs, but it then turned into reality of we want to win in the playoffs. And so it's an interesting, you know, kind of emotion to go through. It's like it switched right away, you know. So I think for us, it's so important that we enjoy that moment. We made the playoffs. We set out to do it at the start of the year. We're a 2-year-old franchise in Utah, and you know, now we got to make some hay in the playoffs. And our brains just switched pretty quickly to hey, who are we going to play? What date does it start on? You know, I think we had a couple game with a couple lulls afterwards where we didn't play particularly well, and we could have a bounce back game tonight. We want to go into the playoffs, obviously playing the right way and doing the right things with playoff habits.
When you look at that number one wild card spot, just how important is that to hold on to going into the playoffs? Because, I mean, eventually, look, you know, it's probably going to go through Colorado in some way, shape, or form, so you'll probably have to see them at some point, but you may want to push that back a little bit.
Yeah, we kind of like, there's so many good teams, right? You know, whether it's Anaheim, whether, you know, all these teams, or it's they're great teams, you know. So I think the way that we've kind of looked at it is just like, we're a competitive club. We want to achieve the most amount of points in the year, and we want to win these final two games to go in the right way. When we look at it that way, we just say, hey, play the best that we can. You know, let's try and get wild card one, because that's what our goal has been. Let's continue to push to do that. And you know, there's such a, you know, it's so close between those teams. You just don't know who you're going to play. But at the end of the day, I know this: we're going to play a good team.
That's true. Yeah. What's you know, I had Logan Cooley on last week, and he's so fired up to get into the playoffs. And I'm sure you've got a lot of veterans saying, okay, this is what you're going to expect in the playoffs. This is how the style is going to be. This is the physicality. But is it something that you're not really, you don't really know until you experience it?
I think so. I think so. You know, it's a great thing. You know, you get to play and test your team against, you know, the 15 other best teams in the National Hockey League. And there's something about, you know, the energy that now enters your building that we're looking for. You know, it's the physicality. It's a new game. It's like, it's so exciting for our players, you know, to push and see if we can, you know, have success at that next level and win that first playoff round. So it's really just an exciting time for your team as you take the ice, you know, and you can feel it. That's, you know, I've always said, when you can feel that pressure, you know, you're in the right spot. And this is the new challenge for us. You know, we have that goal to win that first round in the playoffs. And that's, you know, it's a task that our group is, you know, really, you know, wants to dive in and take care of some business tonight and the next night, but then get into the playoffs. So it's truly a great challenge for our organization. And, you know, I think our fans are super proud of what we've done, but there's more to accomplish.
MO in the NBA playoffs is that officials kind of swallow their whistle a little bit more than they would in the regular season. Is that the case in the NHL as well?
Some do, some don't.
Okay, depends on the crew, huh?
So, you got to be prepared for anything. It's funny you say that because, there were some series that were played that there was a ton of penalties, that controlled and dictated the game. In the last series with Florida and the Edmonton Oilers last year, in the finals. And I was just surprised at how many penalties were actually called. And it's just a weird thing because teams are so good at power plays now that it really can change the outcome of a game. And the problem with all the penalties in the game for us is it throws off all your lines. Some guys don't get ice. Some guys get too much ice. So it does test your team. But in the playoffs in the NHL, it could go either or. It could be a game that there's no penalties or a ton of penalties. They don't swallow their whistle, maybe, as you said, as much in the NHL as they do in the NBA.
Do coaches usually kind of tighten up their rotations going to the playoffs? Do guys see a little bit more ice time than maybe the regular season?
It depends on how your team's playing. We're kind of built for four lines.
Yeah.
We've got enough depth. So I think that, if you're going the long haul, what people don't realize is, obviously you're hyper-focused on, achieving what we need to get into the playoffs and then win the first round. But in the big grand scheme of things, it is a long haul. When you're going to the finals, it is a long haul, and you've got to be prepared for it. For our young group and our group going into the playoffs that wants to win the first round, we'll be super focused on that. And you go through it as a team, but when you look back, it is truly a long haul to go through the playoffs.
Do you feel as if there may have been a little bit of a hangover in these last two games after clinching a spot in the playoffs?
100%. I think that's a normal factor that most teams go through. And at the end of the day, our coaches are preaching, exactly probably what every other coach is preaching, that the other 15 teams, hey, we want playoff habits. We want to play the right way going in. We don't want to limp in. We want to run in, and we want to drive this bus right into the playoffs. And let's play the right way and do this. So that's the message that our coaches are sending. I think we did have a little bit of lull. But we've got some rest underneath us. We're ready to play. It's going to be a good battle for us tonight against Winnipeg.
Jack McBain, how close is he to getting back out on the ice?
With those injuries, you don't know. You hope. I can tell you this: out of the 24 hours in the day, he's hooked up to a stim machine about 23 hours. He's every time I see him, he's working on his rehab. So, he's pushing. We'll see how close he can get and if he can get back in the lineup, but we do miss him, that's for sure.
I had a college player, a football player, tell me once that he's like, I have to be really hurt before I tell somebody on the training staff because there's nothing worse than being stuck in treatment for 20 hours of the day to get back out on the field. He's like, that's more miserable than anything.
It's Chinese water torture for those guys, and a lot of times the injured guys, they got to sit and watch the team achieve, and that's hard for them. They want to be a part of it. They want to be in the mix and in the fight of it. So it's really tough to go through. I know Barrett Hayden has had to sit a few games here with injuries too. So, but they're working to get back. So we'll see if they can get back for playoffs.
2 games left, starting tonight with Winnipeg. What do you expect out of this team you're going to face tonight?
Winnipeg's going to fight. I know that they're out, but they've got a lot of pride in that organization. They're President's Trophy winners last year. They got a good team. They're a hard team to play. They're big and heavy. They're going to fight like hell tonight and give us a good battle. So we got to bring our A game. Like I said, we want to get back on track, playing the right way, driving into the playoffs, not limping in.
Dylan Guenther hits that 40-goal mark. Just how rare is that? How special is that for a player to achieve that in a season?
It's rare. I do believe Dylan can get to 50 one year. I think it's a special thing that he's got to 40. He's been a consistent, shooter every single night in our lineup. And for him to be at that age and achieving what he did is a huge he's been such a big impact on our team with the ability to score goals, and we're going to need him to score even more in the playoffs for us. But I like what he's done in the regular season and put up those type of numbers. Pretty impressive.
I loved our conversation. I think it was a week or 2 weeks ago when the offense really started to click on that 5-game winning streak. And I asked you, like, hey, what do you attribute that to? And you're like, yeah, we're getting more shots out. We're attacking the goal a little bit more. Sometimes it can be that simple, huh?
It is. Just put pucks and people at the net. The NHL's tough to score in. It's a tough league. But sometimes, you're always looking for that perfect play, especially for us. I think we're a pretty skilled hockey club. So sometimes we look for that over perfect play. But really the truth is just put it on net. It'll go in. It'll hit something. It'll deflect. It'll go in the net. So I think we got to continue to put pucks and people at the net. Good things happen when we do that.
I reference other sports and other coaches that I talk to, but I had a basketball coach tell me that he had to get on his team for being a little too unselfish. Like, hey, you guys can only pass it so many times. Somebody's going to eventually have to take a shot, and I don't want anybody to pass up a good shot to make an extra pass. Sometimes can that happen in the hockey world?
Oh, especially with for our club, we're pretty talented, like I said, and we're pretty skilled, and we're good off the cycle. But there are times where we overpass. And I think, we've learned to shoot more as an organization. I think our coaching staff has done a good job and been on our players from the get-go and just really tried to create more shots in the game and more quality shots. I think at times we can get too pretty with our passing. So I think that's something that we've grown and got better on all year long. And, when we shoot the puck, like you said, it goes in. So we got to continue to do that.
So I know the playoff beard's a thing. Does that extend into the front office as well?
Absolutely not. It's every man. Some teams are right into the playoff beards. It's what you're comfortable with. I think some of the best teams I've ever been on have kind of kept a lot of things that they do the same going in from the regular season to the playoffs. They haven't changed too much. I know some teams rally around. They do crazy stuff and, they try to change a lot. For us, I think, it'll be interesting to see if our guys do wear the playoff beards. But for most part, we should be trucking along just like we normally do. Same pathway, same process, everything the same for us, and just continue to move forward here and play good hockey, play playoff hockey with good habits here. And if we do that, we'll be successful.
It's interesting you bring that up because when you talk to players and what we would describe as being superstitious, they just talk about that's my routine. And as long as I stick to my routine, I feel comfortable and I play better. So it's not necessarily superstition. It's like, hey, this is what I do every day. And when I do that, then I feel more comfortable out on the ice or the field or whatever the case is.
Yeah, because you're trying to create that same ritual so everything stays the same and you can produce consistency at an elite level. And it does get a little superstitious for some guys. I know my wife is crazy superstitious about the seat she sits in and what she wears and all that kind of stuff. So people do get very superstitious at times, and so do players. They want that consistency. They're always looking to do the same things in a day.
So for fans that will show up to the Delta Center for the playoff games and watch, on the road when you guys are in the playoffs, what's it like if you're experiencing playoff hockey as a fan for the first time? What can you expect to see that may be a little different than the regular season?
Well, I think guys are more tuned in. I think the speed picks up. It jumps up. I think the physicality, there's 22 more hits in the game, so they'll notice that right away.
Wow.
And I think there's a purpose in why you're playing. Sometimes in the 82 game season, it can get lost at times where you're playing Tuesday night somewhere and it's not as big as a game, but in playoffs, every game is huge. And I think fans feel that. They cheer louder, players play harder, skate faster. They do a lot of things where there's a lot more purpose of what they do. And when they do that, I think it creates an atmosphere where there's a ton more energy inside your arena, and it's electric. And I can't wait for our fans to see us play in the playoffs. Hopefully we get rid of the first game jitters and all that kind of stuff and play to our best of our ability.
When you and Bear are talking to this team and motivating them, do you treat it like just another game, or do you lean into the, okay, guys, this is a different level here? And when we talk about routine and trying to keep guys level, how do you address that from a motivation standpoint?
Well, motivation is the easy part in the playoffs. Everybody's motivated to achieve in the playoffs. But during the 82-game season, there are points where, coach has to talk to the players or I have to talk to the players. And it's just about getting their mindset reset and getting refocused and recommitted to the process. But in playoffs, it's right in front of you. The motivation's right there to win every single night. You got to win 4 out of the 7 games of that series and get it done. So the motivation for our team will be crazy good in the playoffs. But once in a while, during the course of the season, there are reminders and resetting their mindset during at times, and that's I do it a little bit, but coach does it every night with them too.
Well, hey, good luck these final 2 games. I'm going to be there tonight. My 14-year-old is like, Dad, we're going to this game. Find a way to get me there. I'm like, okay, we'll get you there. So my 14-year-old and I will be there. We're fired up to catch some games in the Delta Center. Good luck the rest of the way, and we'll talk next week about the playoffs.
Oh, that's great. Thanks for having me on. Go Mammoth.
Let's do it. There he is, Bill Armstrong, general manager of the Utah Mammoth, as they're going to the playoffs, folks. Now, look, let's do a little. Back in the day, remember when Kevin Graham was doing the what was it? What did he call the Truth Machine? Was it
Susan the Truth Machine?
Susan the Truth Machine, which, by the way, was great back in the day. Now AI has just completely obliterated that thing.
Right.
But,
you don't even have to piece it together.
No.
Like it's just very natural.
Yeah, now it sounds like normal. Like there's sometimes like early on when Hans and I would send you like, hey, can you believe this guy said this in a press conference? You're like, that was AI, by the way. I mean, It's crazy some of the stuff people are doing now. However, if we were to hook up Susan the Truth Machine to Bill, and he's like, look, you're going to play a good team in the playoffs regardless, but make no mistake, you want that number 1 wild card spot. You don't want to draw Colorado in the first round. You just don't. Colorado is just a machine right now, and they've been a machine the entire season. You would like to avoid that buzzsaw as long as you possibly can.
Now, will that team, Colorado win the Stanley Cup? Will they hoist it? The past does not show that the best team in the NHL will do that. So, but you still don't want to face them in the first round because they're going to win at least one.
Yes. Yeah.
At least. And you don't want to be that sweep.
No. And honestly, look, I think that this Mammoth team is going to be, even if they get swept, which I don't think is going to happen, I think they've got every opportunity, especially if they hold on to that number 1 wild card spot. I think they've got a great opportunity to punch their ticket to future rounds in the playoff. But worst case scenario, they get swept in 4 games. This team will still be better off long term because of just experiencing 4 games in the playoffs and just being like, okay. That check across the board felt a little different in this game than it does in those previous 82. Like just experiencing what that's like. I remember Kevin O'Connor talking about that with Jazz teams that he had built. Like, I just want these guys to understand what NBA playoff basketball is like and how it's different so that the following year you can prepare yourself accordingly, knowing that when you walk in, you're not going to be surprised. Now, I think this Mammoth team has a chance to do some really special things.
So you're already ready in this team for a sweep?
I'm not.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
If it's Colorado, it very well could happen. I don't think it will. I think they'll still.
I think they should be able to. They've picked up a win against Colorado, so I think it's doable. But that Colorado team, you're right. It is a machine. They are really good.
So look, but bottom line is this, and he's right. He's spot on. Whoever they play in the first round is going to be a really good team. But
I would like it to be Vegas, though.
I know. I would like.
I would not mind it being Vegas, or I want it to be Vegas.
So, since we're spending Nate's money like a drunken sailor right now, and blowing out budgets right and left,
should we go talk to him after the show?
I think so. I think that he loves it when you and I, after the show, we walk into his office and we say, "Hey, Nate, we've got an idea.
You got a few minutes?
We've got an idea for you." No, when we go down to Nate's office, we're going to say, look, when they're playing Vegas, you know what? We can road trip it.
Very travelable.
Let's just go down. You, me, Cole, Jay, let's just bring the whole crew down to Vegas.
Let's do it.
And we'll have a good time.
We can find a place to stay, guaranteed.
Sure. Let's,
Vegas is cheap these days anyways.
We'll stay at PK's place in St.
Yeah,
George.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I forgot about that
We
place.
got the St. George studios.
Yes, we do.
He would love that. He would absolutely love it.
Invite us.
Yeah, we just,
Welcome.
There's that little gnome by the front door that has the key in it.
Yeah.
Off we go. We'll be in.
He'll let us know right where it is.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
It's like, hey,
Very
Mikasa
welcoming.
Sukasa, let's go.
Mikasa Sukasa.
If there's anybody you can think on this planet that would be more than happy to welcome you into their home, that would be Patrick Kinnahan.
Absolutely. Good dude.
He is a good dude.
Absolutely.
But a little bit of what's mine is mine, and you're not going to infringe.
You're
on
not
that.
welcome in
You're
my
not welcome
home.
in my home.
You see that gnome right there? It means not welcome.
It means don't you dare come near my house. Yeah, I could. Well, never mind. But I could see him having a lot of safety measures in place.
Yeah, we'll bring some food. We'll bring the food.
Yeah, look,
come on.
We'll hit a little Mickey D's on the way.
Yeah, we got it. In and out, maybe.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, In and Out in St. George.
St.
Yeah,
George.
why not?
That's the sad part about those places when they finally get up into your area. Like In and Out in Vegas was like, look, you're leaving Vegas or you're coming into Vegas.
Prime In and Out.
Right off at Tropicana. Yeah, you're going to sit in the line for 30, 40 minutes. But, man, when you got that In and Out in Vegas, it just hit different.
Yep.
And now that it's available to you pretty much anywhere here in Utah, it's just like, it's not quite the same.
I can get this whenever I want.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
It kind of loses that appeal. So, anyway. Hey, look, but I know the kids these days love to hate on In-N-Out. You will not get any In-N-Out hate from me. Maybe the fries, but the burger, still, it's right there. It's absolutely right there. All right, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Coming up next, a little bit of breaking news in the world of sports journalism. You and I have stayed out of the old Mike Vrabel, Diana Rossini thing for the entire.
It might be time to wade those waters.
We may have to wade into those waters a little bit, and I don't really want to, but it's now becoming a story. It got a little tabloidish, if that's a word, but unfortunately, it's now becoming somewhat of a bigger story. So we're going to touch on that coming up here in our next segment. But joining us now, the man, the myth, the legend, Dave Nellis. Hey, you know what? When you think of me and Dave, you think of marathon runners.
Clearly.
Yes. We fit that type. And you got the 25th annual America First Ogden Marathon upcoming. 7th year, America First has been the presenting sponsor. And I know we talk about community events. This is a big one up there in Ogden.
Yeah, this is one of those choice things. My dad grew up in Ogden. We grew up in South Ogden. But Ogden has just this awesome vibe of togetherness. And when they put together the Ogden Marathon, they found just the golden recipe to bring that community together. And this is one of the most scenic marathons, I think, around. And it's been voted like one of the top 5 best qualifiers for beginners. And this is a qualifier for the Boston Marathon. My daughter-in-law ran it, and I have had the privilege to be up there at the finish line, seeing people come through, and the community spirit, the energy, the vibe, the celebration, just the togetherness is something really an honor to be a part of. These runners give it their all, and to see them you see people like honestly almost crawling to the finish line and people cheering them on. I've seen people like, okay, this guy needs medical attention. Get him something quick. And they love it. There's just something crazy about marathon runners that just keep them going. And I love the perseverance.
Well, you'll have a great support staff, a great supporting squad there, ready to help people as the finish line right there in downtown Ogden at 25th Street and Grant Avenue. So that's where things are going to finish up. And America First is going to be right there supporting these guys as much as anybody.
Yeah, we're right there. We love to be a part of this. You know, there's an expo that they have that's going on. There's lots of different races. The race is sold out, but there's a huge community celebration with food vendors and music and awards and all different kinds of things just to get involved in. So even if you're not a runner, if you're supporting a runner, if you just want to get into some good community, downtown kind of vibe, go on May 15th and May 16th at the Ogden.
More information available at ogdenmarathon.com. I was going to run it, and then you just mentioned that it's sold out. So, unfortunately, I will not be a part of it in terms of running this year, but I am excited to be
Scotty,
up there.
I might know a guy. I just might know a guy.
No. You said it's sold out. So, I mean, the door's closed there.
Do you think you could do a half?
I think I could.
They have an 8.2 mile and also a 5K.
All right.
And a 1K for the kids.
Oh, 1K.
And that one's not sold out.
Okay, so the kids extend to like 47, years old, or what's the
47? Is that it?
Man, we're maybe a couple of years.
Okay.
We're not at the big one yet, though. We're still under the Mendoza line there.
I could squeeze you in. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's say what? All right. So what are you got the marathon? You got the
half marathon, the 8.2 mile, the 5K, and the 1K, and they have a relay.
What do you think about the 8.2? You think you could do that?
Easy.
Oh, easy.
We could do it. Arm in arm. We should do it next year.
Next year. Okay.
Okay.
Well, next year, let's just do the full marathon. If we're talking about 12 months from now, I'll commit to that right now.
E-bikes.
Yes. Let's go.
I love it.
All right. AmericaFirst.com. More information and all the great products available at AmericaFirst.com. That's AmericaFirst.com. And if you want information on the Ogden Marathon, that's available for you at OgdenMarathon.com. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to spin the wheel and talk some sports. This is Sports Roulette on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Time for another edition of Sports Roulette. We take some of the big storylines. Lloyd puts them on a roulette wheel. We spin that little wheel. Wherever that little white ball lands is what we are then committed to talk about. We are not allowed to talk about anything else unless that little white ball lands on a topic of our choice. So, Lloyd, fire up that wheel.
Just two adults hanging out as friends.
Yeah. So, Diana Rossini, NFL essentially reporter for The Athletic. And you go back a week ago, page 6, New York, is it New York Post or New York Times? Anyway, one of those New York papers.
Post, I believe.
Found some photos of her and Mike Vrabel hanging out at a pool at a resort. And, look, they were sitting by a pool, and then there was one where they were kind of like looking at each other and had each other's hands, they were interlocking hands, but there was no hugs or no real overly sign of affection between the two. And all of a sudden, the world comes crashing down around both of them. Now, Mike Vrabel's going to be fine. Mike Vrabel's not, especially with the turnaround that he's done in New England, that dude's fine. And again, there may be a little bit of a double standard here, but Diana Rossini just absolutely is getting obliterated by colleagues and other people in the media. And both of them are married, not to each other. Both of them have families. But there is a strong belief that, there may have been some shenanigans up in that resort. Diana Rossini and Mike Vrabel both said, hey, they were both with respective groups at the time that just happened to run into each other. And immediately The Athletic was, all right, we got your back. Diana, sure. And then all of a sudden the heat continued to pick up to the point where The Athletic then goes to Diana Rossini and say, okay, look, we need some receipts here. We need you to prove that you're with a group of people.
Who was there? Yeah.
Let us know. Like, look, everybody's taking selfies these days. Everybody's taking pictures. So just, send over some pictures of you and your girlfriends hanging out at the resort, and we're good. Well, I don't know how that went in terms of providing proof. What we do know, though, is just a moment ago, Diana Rossini submitted her resignation to The Athletic. And here's that letter. Please accept this letter as my resignation from The Athletic, effective immediately. I have come to this decision with deep sadness, but with clarity about what's right for me, my family, and the work I have spent building my career. You and I, she's talking about the editor, the executive editor of The Athletic, Steve Greenberg. You and I have already publicly addressed the recent attacks against me, and I have nothing to add publicly about what we have said. I've covered the NFL with professionalism and dedication throughout my career, and I stand behind every story I've ever published. When the page 6 item first appeared, The Athletic supported me, unequivocally expressed confidence in my work and pride in my journalism. For that, I am grateful. In the days that followed, unfortunately, commentators in various media have engaged in self-feeding speculation that is simply unmoored from the facts. Moreover, the media frenzy is hurtling forward without regard for the review process The Athletic is trying to complete. It continues to escalate, fueled by repeated leaks, and I have no interest in submitting to a public inquiry that has already caused more damage than I'm willing to accept. Rather than allowing this to continue, I've decided to step aside now before my current contract expires on June 30th. I do not believe because I've accepted the narrative that I've constructed around this episode, but because I refuse to lend it any further oxygen or let it define me or my career. Yeah, unfortunately, this is going to define your career.
Yes.
This is one that you're not going to be able to walk away from, unfortunately. And you and I, like,
if
look,
you truly, by the way, if you truly believe that, like, why would you not want to fight this?
Yes.
If you truly believe, say you're innocent, which you are saying in the statement as well, you were taking no accountability. You were saying, well, you are saying that you're innocent, essentially.
Yeah.
Then fight it. Fight it. Show what you have to show. Squash all the leaks. Squash everything.
If she sent out a photo of her and her BFFs at the resort, this would all go away. Now, granted, there'd still be a little mud, unfortunately, and it wouldn't be deserved. But, you know, that she's like, hey, look, we ran into each other. We sat by each other at a pool. We were just shooting the bull, and people took some pictures. But I was here with friends. This is a picture of us in the car going over. This is a picture of us having dinner. This is a picture of us, you know, enjoying our time together as a group. This is it. And then I think it goes away. I not immediately, but it goes away. The problem is that about, I want to say 10 years ago, the wife of a GM of the Redskins accused her of going, using, you know, various favors, if you will, to acquire stories. And then this happens. And the problem is that, again, I'm not saying it's deserved, but that just becomes part of your MO. And that's what people assign you with. And it sucks. It's unfortunate. Do I think that it should impact her career? Probably not. I don't think so. But we are a society that loves our gossip and we love to tear people down. Look, I don't think Diana Rossini is a bad NFL reporter. I think she does a very good job. I think she has done an exceptional job in her time covering the league. And whatever she does going forward, I think she'll do an exceptional job. I think it's unfortunate that she gets mired into this. But if it is self-inflicted, you kind of have to know that that's going to be a problem. And if it leaks out, it's going to be a problem. So if this decision was, in fact, a decision between two consensual adults to indulge in whatever extramarital activities, that's not against the law, but it is going to affect your public persona of somebody who's trying to get scoops and break news in the National Football League.
As a journalist, absolutely.
As a journalist,
absolutely.
Yep. I mean,
that's why it's one looks different on Vrabel versus her. I mean, she is a journalist and uses these sources.
Yeah. And is there a double standard?
Absolutely, there is.
1,000% double standard. Yep. And if Diana Rossini got a job tomorrow at Sports Illustrated or something like that, I still think she'd do a tremendous job. But the problem is this is always going to linger. Like, this will be a part of her career story, whether she likes it or not. And it sucks. It does. But unfortunately, it's just a bad situation. And you just can't allow yourself to get caught up into that. I mean, even if you are with your friends, you can't be caught sitting at a pool next to an NFL head coach when it's your job to report breaking news across the National Football League. And frankly, if you're Mike Vrabel, you can't put her in that situation. Like, you know you're going to be fine. I mean, if Robert Kraft comes to him and says, hey, you know, we got to talk about your off-the-field indulgences. He's like, really? Do we, Robert? Bob? Do we? Okay, let's do a little Google search on you.
You sure you want to?
You don't want to go down that path. So if there's anybody that's 1,000% safe in all of this, it's Mike Vrabel, which again is very unfortunate. And if Mike, I think if Mike should go above and beyond trying to help out Diana in this situation. And I haven't gotten knee deep in this. I'm not sure how much he has. But first off, you can't allow yourself to be caught next to her at a pool. You can't be caught holding hands with her at a pool. You just can't do that. And it's not just for you, it's also for her. It's going to hurt her career. You can't put her in that situation. So I blame him as much as her. But it's just an ugly situation. And I hate that things like this can define somebody's career. I hate it. I think it sucks. I think it sets back women and their ability to report in this business and to be accepted as peers and to be trusted, it really, really hurts the overall image of a lot of women out there that are busting their tail and working harder than, frankly, a lot of men at their position to try to hold a certain level of credibility and make sure that they are respected as much as their male peers. This will be used against all women, unfortunately, in some way, shape, or form.
And I think, like I said, it would be much better if she would just be honest about it and say, you know what, I did it. We did it. Yeah. Don't hide behind it. Don't hide behind all the talking heads that you're talking about, the media that is making a big deal that's out to get you and apparently get rid of you, essentially. Like, just own it. Just own it. You made a mistake. Yeah. We all make mistakes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you had this mistake and the one 10 years ago or however long it was ago, and that's a couple. It gives credence to that one.
Yes, it does. It does. It absolutely does. So it's just it's a bad situation, and I feel bad for the one, like, both of them have kids, both of them are married. Those are the ones that the spouses and the kids are the one that are going to take the brunt of this. Like Diana Orsini, I'm sure she'll be fine. In terms of whatever profession she wants to go into, like, she's got enough of a name and a reputation in terms of quality NFL experience. Somebody's going to hire her. She'll be okay. She'll find a job. But how do you talk to your husband? How do you talk to your wife if you're Mike Vrabel? What do you say to your kids about something like that? I mean, those are the people that really truly suffer, because these kids are going to school. They've got friends. They're like, bro, is this true about your dad? Is this true about your mom?
It's kind of like that, the whole HR lady in that company.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like that where, I mean.
The Coldplay concert?
The Coldplay concert, yes. That thing never goes away. I think she was, like, recently on, like, Oprah or something recently.
Really?
I think so.
Did she finally speak out?
I think she did finally speak out, yeah, about it.
Yeah, Chris Martin. First off, you're stuck at a Coldplay concert. That's your first problem.
What a weird thing that happened. But it's like, you just have to, like, I don't want to say like, come on. You have to be smart. You know, everywhere you go, you're Diana Orsini, you're on TV.
Yeah.
You're Mike Vrabel, you're the head coach of the New England Patriots.
You don't think that's going to cause.
You'd be like, wow, looks like Mike Vrabel.
Yeah. And in this day and age where TMZ and everybody's
absolutely, they got cameras everywhere.
They're paying out big money. If I'm working at that hotel and I see that going on, I'm like, click, click. I'm going to call TMZ. I'm like, I
just got stiffed on a tip.
Yeah.
Serving.
Honestly, yeah.
I need some money.
That is the world we're living in. You got to be smarter than that. Even if you're with your friends and you just run into each other, you got to be smarter than that. All right, 2:44. We'll wrap up this bad boy next. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
RingCentral's AI receptionist uses voice AI to answer on the first ring, so you'll never miss a call again. In just a few minutes, you can personalize your own AI receptionist to answer questions, route calls, schedule appointments, and even send texts in multiple languages. Plus, it's easy to scale. Create unlimited AI receptionists across any phone system. It's all powered by one reliable platform for effortless AI communications. See for yourself at ringcentral.com. RingCentral, voice of your business.
Breaking down the teams you're passionate about. This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, wrapping up another award-winning edition of the show. I can't even say that with a straight face. By the way, our good friend, Josh Furlong, KSL.com.
What was that for? You can't even say that. It was an award-winning show. What are you talking about?
Well, okay, we're handing out awards to ourselves. Like, good job.
Okay, this is true.
It's a
pat on the back.
Participation award.
Third place ribbon, okay.
Our good friend Josh Furlong, KSL.com, covers Utah football, has got the contracts not necessarily the contracts, but the amounts paid for the assistant coaches with Morgan Scalley's staff. These are for the upcoming season. Offensive, Kevin McGivern breaking $1 million. He's at $1.1 million. Jordan Gross, your offensive line, making $600,000. Marky Atawaya, $400K. Luke Wells, your tight end coach, at $400,000. Chad Bumpus at $300,000, and Ryan Gunderson, the quarterback coach, $250K for the upcoming season. And McGivern, whether it's Utah or McGivern himself, had to chip $225,000 to Utah State to get out of his contract on his buyout. Colton Swan now at $850,000 a year as a defensive coordinator. Sharif Shah, $800,000. Luther Ellis checking in at $550,000 as the defensive tackle coach. Derek Odom at $400,000 as well. So that's your staff salaries for the University of Utah football coaching staff for this upcoming season. You can follow Josh Furlong and get more information from him. Josh does a tremendous job covering the Utes at JFur KSL. All right, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.